Hi everyone, my name is Marissa. I'm a certified personal trainer, and last week I interviewed Megan Ann. She started her YouTube channel in July of this year, and not long after that gained attention from Obese to Beast, who shared his thoughts on her videos, why fat acceptance sucks and why fitness influencers also suck. Today she has over 11,000 subscribers and is here to discuss topics with me related to body positivity, her weight loss journey, social media, mental health, and more. Because this interview is so long, I've put the timestamps for each topic in the description below, but trust me, you're gonna want to watch the whole thing. And now, on with the interview. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, it's recording. I think I did this.
Yay!
So, a week and a half ago, I was scrolling through the homepage of YouTube and I saw my 315-pound life and why the fat acceptance movement sucks.
That's so weird to me. Like, people are telling me all the time that they see me come up in their like recommendations and stuff now, and that's just like mind-boggling to me because that just was not happening. So, like, yeah.
You only had your channel for how long?
That was my 6th video.
Okay, so that's crazy.
And I had my channel for like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks at that point, I think. It hadn't even been a month yet. And then, yeah. So it was the whole thing.
That's a huge deal. It takes people years to even get recommended to people. So that's crazy. But I watched that video, then I watched a couple more of your videos. I was like, ooh, she's talking about fitness influencers now. This is the kind of stuff I'm into. And everything, your whole perspective just intrigued me so much. And I was like, wow, I have to talk to this girl. So first off, for anybody, because this will get posted eventually, hopefully within the next couple weeks. So share your name, how old you are, and where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Megan Ann on YouTube. That's my middle name. And I am 24 years old, and I am from Denver, Colorado. I'm from Michigan originally, but I live in Denver now. So, yeah. Yeah.
What made you want to start your YouTube channel in the first place?
Boredom. I was bored in quarantine, and I'm privileged enough to be able to work from home. But because of that, I felt like I was living at work. And so I'm a graphic designer full-time. And so I wanted a different like creative outlet. And I had been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for like 10 years. Like if you go back on my channel and see date created, it's like November 2009. Like it's really old. And yeah, so I just decided to do it. Like I don't know why, and I just did. And I felt like I had something, like I had a story to tell, and I didn't expect so many people to be so interested in it.
Yeah, like how did it feel when you first started to realize that your fat acceptance movement video was blowing up? Because it did.
Yeah, so I was working when Obese to Beast reacted to it. That's the whole reason it popped off, is because Obese to Beast reacted to it in a stream. And so I was working when that happened, and I had to like sign up. I had to like take a break from work for like 10 minutes. I posted in our group chat, I'm like, dude, I have to go for like 10 minutes. Like I didn't say why, because I didn't know if anybody would have understood. And then but like I got emotional, honestly, because he had such great things to say about it. And then I gained such a big following from that reaction in itself. And then after it happened, then that video got pushed more into the algorithm on YouTube, I think. And now it's up to like 270,000 views. And it's still like, it's so surreal to me still, because my channel's still growing. Like I'm almost at 11,000 subscribers. I started with 67 when John reacted to my video. And it's so surreal to me because I'm from a very small town, and like this stuff just doesn't happen happen. even though 10, like being in the tens or teens thousands of subscribers is still like micro or whatever, it's still huge to me.
Yeah.
And it's very weird to me. Like, I'm not used to it at all.
It's really
Yeah.
a lot for YouTube, especially it being 2020. It's been around for a long time. It's just that much more saturated now. So that's
Yeah.
such a huge accomplishment for the time and the
It
circumstance.
was it was as of today, I think it's been a month since John reacted to my video, and I gained over 10,000 subscribers in a month.
What was the
Yeah.
reaction like from people seeing the video? Was it mostly positive or negative?
Yeah. I haven't gotten like, and because I don't filter my comments at all besides what like YouTube suggests, which is like spam and like overtly hateful comments. Um, and I haven't really gotten any like mean comments. I've gotten like criticism, which I expected, but I haven't gotten anything like rude. I got one like kind of rude one, but I just laughed about it and moved on because it was kind of ridiculous. But overall, it's been very positive, and I've had like a lot of people come like contact me saying that it made them like kind of rethink their values and their morals when it came to health and wellness, and that was huge to me. Like that, I was not expecting that kind of a reaction, but it happened. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, it really brings home how impactful the video was when people will reach out to you personally just to
Oh
tell you
yeah.
your life.
I have had so many people message me on Instagram and like in my comments and stuff thanking me for making this video because they either experienced it or it made them like reevaluate how they were thinking about it, which yeah, it's very weird because it's feelings I'd had for a really long time and I just never vocalized them. And so it's kind of comforting, honestly, to hear people be like, oh, I feel the same way. Because
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's a
definitely.
big thing to speak out against for sure.
Right.
That movement.
Yeah, because I have touched not on the fat acceptance movement, I've touched on body positivity as a
Yeah,
movement in my content before on TikTok, because that's where I
yeah,
first started really
yeah,
videos.
yeah,
And coming from me, I feel like it's not very accepted because I've had the weight gain phenomenon. I've never been at a point in my life
yeah.
to lose weight.
And
It's been
it's,
the opposite.
to me, that's just a crock of BS. Like that's just because I have friends from college because I got weight loss surgery. I'm very open about that's how I lost my weight, or the bulk of my weight is through weight loss surgery, because I think it's deceptive if I don't say that. But I was very open with all my friends in college about me going through that process. And through that, a few people that I went to school with, and my college was super small. So like everybody in my program knew everybody. And so they started opening up to me about how they got the same kind of shame put on them for being too thin. And I have a friend who's like 100 pounds soaking wet. Like she's so tiny and she's gotten the same stuff. And I think honestly, gaining weight in a healthy way and in a good way for your body is harder than losing weight. That's like
Really?
I just because I've had friends who have had to gain weight because they were underweight for whatever reason, doing that sustainably to me and in a healthy fashion so that you're not doing adverse things to your body seems so much harder to me than losing weight does.
That's so
And
interesting.
yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying losing weight is hard, but the concept of it is simple, right? Like eat less, move more. That's like the concept. It's simple, but it's hard because it's all up here. Weight loss is 100% up here. But to me, gaining weight, like there's so much more science that goes into it to make sure you're gaining it properly, that it just seems very overwhelming and very complicated to me.
Yeah, and then here I am coming from the opposite side of things where I always thought losing weight has to be harder than gaining weight. And I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
gaining weight was a challenge for me, but
Yeah.
because I already had the knowledge of what I needed to do before I even started. And I started to in college really
Yeah.
focus on that. Um, and so I was able to apply my knowledge right away. I was able to see results very quickly, but for a lot of people, because there's such an oversaturation of nutrition and health information online, it's hard to really figure it out unless like
Yeah.
you already
Yeah.
have that instilled.
That's why I made my like fitness influencer video too, because I feel like, and it's not saying like obviously all of them, because I'm now becoming friends with a lot of them and I have followed a lot of fitness influencers for a very long time. But I just feel like it's like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Like the loudest ones are the ones that are more pushed on like in different algorithms on social media. And I feel like a lot of those ones are very negative and they put out a very bad, complicated message and they make it seem so unattainable and so complicated to people that don't know anything about nutrition. And yeah, that's what spawned that video, because I was just like, because I felt like it could go either way. And I felt like in order to be fair with the fat acceptance one, I had to make a video about the other side too, because I think in general, social media, when it comes to weight loss or just health and wellness in general, is kind of like very terrible and confusing, but here I am like in it. um but yeah, it's just, there's just so much information out there that like it's hard to see what's real and what isn't, and what's good and what's not, which is why I'm going to a registered dietitian.
Yeah, exactly.
I made that leap because I'm like, I need more guidance and I can't really find that anywhere on the internet that I feel suits me. So yeah.
And people don't know really the difference a lot of the time between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist and a health coach and a weight loss coach and a personal trainer. All of these words and titles are thrown around, but really only personal trainers and registered dietitians are the ones that have to go through training. And to become a registered dietitian takes a lot more time, a lot more money, and a lot more knowledge than it is to become a personal trainer. Not saying that what I do is easy, but
oh no, I have cousins who are personal trainers, so I've seen them. I've
like
seen them
being
go through it.
being involved in both, I just am able to see both sides of the spectrum. And even it's crazy to see how many fitness professionals and health professionals argue with each other over their own personal opinions regarding health and fitness, which just confuses their audiences 10 times more.
For me, there's a lot of like hypocrisy as well, because like if somebody is getting healthy and like and doing something better for their body to live a healthier life, like, and as long as they're doing it in a healthy way, like it's not like they're not like starving themselves or anything, I don't think there should be any criticism on it, like, because it's working for them. And if that's one thing that I've learned from losing so much weight, is that as long as it's healthy and it's not hurting the person and it's working for them, cool. Like, cool. Because I got a lot of flack for getting weight loss surgery. And after that, I'm like, I'm never questioning the way somebody lost weight ever again, so long as it wasn't like unhealthy and hurting them directly. Like,
that just bothers me so much that you've gotten criticism for that, because it's not like, that's not a quick fix by any means. It's a mindset that you have to develop.
Yeah, I had to go through, and not every insurance requires this. And again, I am privileged enough to have health insurance that covered the procedure. But my insurance required me to go through a 6-month weight management program. So I had to go to an obesity science doctor for 6 months and be steadily losing weight that whole time. The goal is about 10% of my body weight, so 30 pounds. I wound up losing 40 before surgery. But in that time though, I was also jumping through all the hoops that I had to go through to just get the surgery. So like tests and all that kind of stuff. And they told me that like they had a client in the same program, like in the same wave that I was in, that they had to push his surgery back because he gained all the weight he had lost back. Like, it's not like, you don't just go in and sign up and then get the surgery like a month later.
And then magic, and then you never gain the weight back, and you're just fixed.
Yeah, that's why I decided to go to an RD, is because I am determined not to be a statistic. I will not gain my weight back. That is not happening. I have gained like 10-ish pounds of it back from my lowest, but it's because I didn't reach my lowest sustainably. Like, I went from like 207 to 197, like making very unrealistic cuts, and just like, yeah. And so I gained it back pretty quickly. But so yeah, that's why I'm going to an RD, because it's still so much work, like even after surgery, because like a year, I'm 2 years out now. So even a year after, your body is like pretty much used to it at that point. So like, it's not like weight doesn't just fall off of you anymore. Like, that's not, yeah, because your body's so used to the way you eat. And so, yeah.
Right.
My doctor in the program told me, if you are not eating right and exercising 2 years from now, you got surgery for fun. That's basically what she said. And that, like, it's still in there. Like, it's still in there because surgery was not fun. And I don't want it to be for nothing.
Right. Holy crap. That's an interesting thing to say to somebody.
She was a great lady. I loved her. She was so cool. Like, a very good obesity science doctor, because she was just very like straight to the point, like, this is what you need to do. But she was nice about it. But yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, that just resonated with me like big time. Because I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do something about this.
In my content, I really emphasize weight loss for health. Like, that is the number one reason someone should be trying to lose weight, because my demographic is a lot of teenagers who often try to lose weight in unhealthy ways. Yeah. So I've gotten so many DMs from teenagers telling me their experiences, and it scares me and it breaks my heart to see that. So in my content, like, that's the number one most important thing. So I noticed that was the biggest reason you decided to make a change. And how important do you think it is for someone on a weight loss journey to do it for health, not solely for physical appearance?
Oh my God, that's the only reason. Like, okay, so when I decided to start losing weight, which I knew for a very long time, I'd been a fat kid growing up my entire life. I was just a big kid. That was just who I was, and whatever. When I decided to start losing weight, even though I knew it was something I should have done for a very long time, but when I made the decision, like, Megan, this is something you have to do now, it was because of my health. Like, yes, when I reached 300 pounds, it was a mental thing for me as well. Like, I did not feel good about myself mentally, but again, it was for my mental health, which is the reason I decided to do it as well. But by the time I decided to go the surgery route, which I will say I think should be everybody's last option, because it is so drastic. That is something I say about weight loss surgery. But I was pre-diabetic. I had, my liver function was not what it should be. I honestly don't remember what the actual issue was, but I just remember reading in this letter that I got after some routine blood work that I was going towards fatty liver disease, which ran in my family already, and so I didn't want to like perpetuate it. And so yeah, I was pre-diabetic. That was the liver thing was happening, and I just wasn't happy, and I was having issues just like existing. And so the liver thing is what put me over the edge. I had been pre-diabetic since the age of 16, but by the age of 21, that's when the liver thing started happening. And that's what put me into it, was that like my health wasn't good anymore. And I was 21 years old. I hadn't even finished college yet. And I always tell people too, like, the weight loss and being smaller is just like a happy side effect of being healthy again. Because
literally what I say to my clients, happy side effect, positive side effects.
Yeah, I have flipped my blood, like my insides completely. Everything's normal. Like everything's normal again, which I think I was very close to it being irreversible. So yeah, that was a big deal. When I got that letter and my doctor was like, congratulations, everything's fine. Like, that was huge. And for me, honestly, like weight loss in terms of aesthetics and everything, I have more body image issues now than I did when I was like 300 pounds. And I think it's because I still have like a bunch of loose skin on me. And I'm not saying don't lose weight because of the loose skin. That's not what I'm saying at all. But weight loss is not the answer to like being happy with yourself in like as a whole. That's not the answer.
I feel like that's why a lot of people end up quitting, because it's not like, it's hard to have that intrinsic drive just based off of physical appearance. Like there has to be something inner, like really deep that has to
and
spur
for
that.
me it was my mental health, and then all my organs just not working the way they should have been working for a 21-year-old person. And that's what kept me going, because heart disease runs in my family, like a lot of not diabetes runs in my, like a lot of not good things run in my family. And when I saw that creeping up on me at 21, I was like, something has to give, and it has to be a medical intervention, which is why I went the surgery route. I needed that medical intervention, and I brought it upon myself. But yeah. So yeah, no, weight loss for health, that's the only reason. That is the only reason you should want to lose weight, is to get healthier and to be kind to your body, not because you're going to actually like lose weight and be thinner. Absolutely not.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so important, especially for the younger audience. It's crucial. So you talk a lot about your mental health and how that was, you said it was a big mental thing when you did reach pounds, and that put it into perspective for you. But how, like over the course of your entire weight loss journey, how was your mental health? Did it improve in areas? Did it decline in certain areas?
Honestly, so I have clinical depression and anxiety. Like it's never, I don't really accept the fact, I don't think it's going to go away. I have accepted the fact that I will probably be on medication for it for the rest of my life. And that's okay to me. I don't find any shame in that at all. I talk very openly about my mental health on my channel because it's a very important conversation to have. But in terms of with my weight loss, it fluctuated. Like it was, overall, I feel more confident in myself and my abilities to do things, which in turn improved my mental health to a certain point. But I'm also still on medication I'm on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, and I also still go to therapy. So like, it's not like the magic, like John's Obese to Be said, it's not the magic bullet that cures everything. Like it's just not. But I do think it has helped me a lot in terms of my self-confidence, because losing weight was the one thing that was making me unhappy, or being overweight was my one thing in my life that made me very unhappy, and I changed it. And so that was like a huge feat for me. Sorry, my phone is like going off in my ears. That was a huge feat for me. And so that improved my mental health. But now I'm in therapy primarily to deal with the after effects of weight loss, because I have very bad body dysmorphia, because I still have like a hanging belly of skin. And I'm still like 206-ish pounds. So some of it is like fat, but I think a lot of it is subcutaneous fat that just needs to be like removed, and I can't really do anything about.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of learning to deal with that right now. I do want to get my skin removed, but then even with that, there's going to be a lot of mental work that has to come with it, because I've never not had a belly. I've never had a flat stomach in my entire life. So like, or a flat-ish stomach. Not that matters, but I've never had that before. And so when I have that surgery, it's going to be a whole other thing. And so for me, yes, it improved it for the most part, but it didn't make my depression go away. Like it didn't make my depression or anxiety go away. It just improved my feelings of self-worth and pride in myself, which I still deal with that too. Like losing weight is one of the things I am willing to say I am proud of myself for, which is something I need to work on, and I am working on. But yeah, So self-confidence for sure. Depression and anxiety still 100% there and kicking it. Like that is definitely, yeah.
I've experienced type of thing with like my confidence prior, because I always was so passionate about hip hop. I've been a dancer my whole life, but like
that's awesome.
I wanted to be a hip hop dancer. Like that's where I wanted to go. And I would watch myself in the mirror as I was doing different routines, and I just felt like I looked so awkward because I was so lanky. And in turn, that made me so unconfident, like going to dance conventions and doing all of that. Like it really took a toll on how like I pursued that. But I went for it anyway in college. I joined a dance crew, and then I mean, just being in a more hip hop based community anyway, and not so much competitive studio dance life, because like cliques and stuff, like it was a whole different environment. Everybody was a lot more accepting. So that helped with my confidence. And then as I did start to gain weight, like I just felt like the movements did not look awkward on me anymore. And now like I can do whatever, and I'm totally fine with it, and I love it. And it's
and I think that goes for losing weight as well. Like I don't feel as awkward when I just like move about in the world. I don't feel like I'm waddling anymore. I don't feel like I'm taking too much space up, which you never are. You are never taking up too much space. Take up the space that you deserve. But I also felt like I was just like a very large person, and it made me feel awkward. And so now I don't feel like that. And I felt like anything I did looked awkward because I felt like I was waddling everywhere. But so that's completely changed too. It's very interesting, the similarities to me from what I've heard from friends that come with losing weight and gaining weight, because it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, but it's the same spectrum.
Right. And then I feel like because I have a different perspective and point of view, I'm not allowed to talk about certain topics because it
makes me so angry. Like that's like the thing about the fat acceptance and the body positivity. I think body positivity is great in theory, but what it's turned into is like very it excludes a lot of people, and I don't understand that. Like some people in the body positivity realm would not like me because I'm proud of myself for losing weight, and I made the decision to lose weight and get healthier, when really I was killing myself by the way that I was treating myself before. Like that's just the harsh truth of it.
Right.
And and I hate how they just exclude people. It really bothers me a lot. And it's very hypocritical, and I just I don't like it very much.
I've made videos on that about that being so hypocritical, because I made a video a few months ago. It was during summer, and it was basically saying, okay, here are the two types of girls you envy. The video is still up, but I disabled comments. But I said, these are the two types of girls you envy. The Instagram influencers who use Facetune and Photoshop to look perfect, whatever that means.
Right, whatever but that it's even fake. Means.
Right. And then the fitness freak, quote unquote, that has been dedicated to their craft for years and years and years. It's super admirable, but it's not attainable in like the first year you're starting your journey. And so I said this, and then there's me. I've been working out consistently for 1.5 years, and I'm here to show you what a realistic body looks like. But because I'm on the thinner side, I got tore up. But I know for a fact, if some of the other body positivity community members on the platform had made the same exact video, same exact text, everything, people would have praised them for it. But
if I would have made it, even like, because I'm still like a size like 14, like, so it, like if I would have made it, I probably would have gotten praised for it, because I'm like plus size, but I'm not like big enough to be plus size in the plus size community on social media. Like that's the whole thing too. But
puts you in
they had to make a whole new like niche of called mid-size, because like we're not small enough to be straight size, so like, but we're not fat enough to be plus size. And I use the term fat. Like I don't mean any malice by using the term fat. It's just a term that I use and I have used since I was 300 pounds. And so like, it's just so stupid. Like, I just think it's so counterintuitive and dumb. Like there's the amount of just separation. Like, body positivity should just be about loving yourself no matter what size or shape you are and doing what's best for you.
Exactly.
And if that's
perfect.
And if that's to like, and like I said in my video, if that's to eat whatever the hell you want, go for it. I don't care. It's not hurting me. Like, if you feel that's what's best for you, is it healthy? No. But like, okay, like, do I agree with it? Maybe not. But like, I'm not going to be like, don't do that, because there's probably a reason they're doing it anyways. And so it's like, yeah, it should just be about what's doing best for you at that time and loving yourself at every stage of the process. That's how it is for me.
Perfectly worded. So important. But what goes through your mind when the body positivity community says health at every size?
God, I think it's bullshit. And I'm sorry for cursing, but like, okay. I think it is like, I have a friend who has been on both sides of the spectrum, right? So she's been super thin and had to put on weight, and she's also been overweight and she's lost it. And she knows, and she's at a very like healthy size now. And I'm very proud of her for that. But she commented on one of my videos and she's like, anybody that's been on both sides of that spectrum knows that health at every size just is not true. Like, it's just not, like, I don't think it's true. Because I was not healthy at 300 pounds. My body was not healthy at 300 pounds. And I think on either side, if you're really thin, negative things are happening to your body. Like, if you're unhealthily thin, negative things are happening. But if you're also super morbidly obese, negative things are happening. And if they haven't yet shown up in your blood work, they will.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I consider myself lucky that they showed up so soon and that I was able to do it so soon. And I was able to fix it so soon, I mean. And yeah, so when I think like, do I think you can try and be healthy at every size and make the change at any size? Yes. But do I think you are healthy when you are 315 pounds? No. Do I think you are healthy when you are 60 pounds and a fully grown human? Also no. So it's like, I think the health at every size thing, it toes a very thin line. Yeah. Like, I still don't, I mean, I think I'm healthy because like my blood is fine and everything's functioning how it should. But I still think I'm overweight and I have more weight to lose, and I have more weight that I want to lose. But again, that's for health reasons, to prevent anything from happening in the future when I get older. So yeah, so I don't even consider myself like the healthiest person on the planet, because I'm not. So like, I've lost a considerable amount of weight, but I don't consider myself like healthy just yet.
Right. But healthier. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that is something that I've also been dealing with, is like, yes, I gained that like 10 pounds back, but I had to realize that I didn't lose it to begin with sustainably. I was eating too few calories. So when I went back up, it was like what would be my normal maintaining calories, I just gained all the weight back, right?
Yeah.
And I've had to learn like, okay, Megan, that's 10 pounds out of 115 that you had lost. So like, you're still doing okay.
Yeah.
And your body's still functioning the way it should be. And realistically, you're like 50 pounds overweight now instead of 150 pounds overweight. And also 10 of that is probably skin and cellulite that is left over from you losing weight. So it's like, yeah, I have to keep reminding myself of these things, or else I get very obsessive over it. Yeah.
It's so hard to not be obsessive, especially like with numbers. That's why I never recommend my clients to count their calories or count their macros. Mm-hmm. Sure, it's good the first couple of days just to get a baseline and really see how you're really eating. But after that, same thing with the scale. not to weigh yourself every day because your weight's gonna fluctuate just from you being
I used
human.
to do that too. Yeah, I used to weigh myself like every day, and it got to be, I did learn something from it, and it's how my body retains water and like the patterns in which it does that. But um I weigh myself maybe once a week now. Like I'm with an RD now, so, and I am trying to lose, like, I want to lose like 20 more pounds. That's like I want to be 180 pounds. For some reason, that's like my number, even though like it shouldn't matter, but that's always just been my number. And so, um, and I also want to lose more weight and stay there because I am going to be looking into skin removal surgery next year. But um yeah, and I didn't track calories or anything for the longest time. And I think my surgery helped me with that because I always knew I was going to be in a caloric deficit because my stomach was the size of a banana. But even when it started to become more normal, I still didn't track for a very long time. And then I only restarted tracking like 6 months to a year ago. And it became very obsessive for me. And I talk about that in my fitness influencer video. It became very obsessive for me. And I was able to catch it at the point where I could feel something was not gonna, it wasn't gonna be a good thing anymore. And so I was able to catch it and stop it. Um, but now I have since started therapy over quarantine again. And I feel more in a right headspace to do that. So my dietitian is actually having me track, like, not even like calories, but more so just like eating a balanced diet. So like
Yeah.
making sure I get all my fats and proteins and carbs in. And honestly, looking at the general percentages of that has helped me immensely instead of just looking at like exact grams and calories and whatever.
Right.
So yeah, and I can already see a huge difference in the way I'm looking at like macros and stuff now as opposed to when I had like no guidance because I missed out on a lot of the post-op stuff because I moved. And so I wasn't with my program anymore. And I know I would have had that guidance should I have stayed home, but I didn't. And so that's why I made this choice to go to a dietitian now, because I just feel like I need that guidance. But yeah, numbers are not everything at all, like at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back to that like health at every size term. How do you think that
sure.
term impacts the mindset of those that are a part of this community?
Um, well, from personal experience, I think I don't think health at every size in itself is a bad thing. Like, and I don't know if that's contradictory to what I said before, but I don't think in theory it's bad. I think it has been taken over by the fat acceptance movement, and then that has in turn made it kind of toxic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, because they preach like, oh, eat whatever you want because it makes you happy, or like it's good for your mental health, when like in reality it's not. And they also, for me, with the whole fat acceptance, health at every size thing, for me, they perpetuated this idea that the world was just against me as a fat person, which I think in some ways it is. I think fat people are treated very unfairly in a lot of situations. I think a lot of unfair assumptions are made about us slash them. Um, but they just perpetuate it so badly, and that took such a negative toll on my mental health, thinking that like, oh, like guys don't like me because I'm fat, or like this, when that's just not the case. And and for me, because I was going through it at such a young age, that's what I was concerned about, was boys. And that's not the case at all. Has my dating life changed since I lost weight? Yes, but I think that's because my confidence has also changed and like the way
Absolutely.
I portray myself has changed. um but I think for me, the biggest issue with the health at every size is that fat acceptance has taken it over, and the things that the fat acceptance movement preaches, in for the long run, is extremely toxic. And I think that's now why you see a lot of very big names in the fat acceptance, health at every size movement on like Instagram and stuff speaking out against it. Most notably, Glitter and Lasers. She got diagnosed with lipedema, and she had to make the choice to get healthy to counteract that as much as she could. And she has been, I followed her when I was very much like in depth with the health at every size, fat acceptance stuff. So she's like a very big figure in that whole sphere. And she got so much backlash for it. And I think that's also it too, is if you are truly healthy at every size and body positive, you should like love everybody at every stage. Like if they want to lose weight, cool. If they want to gain weight, also cool. If they need to gain weight. And that's kind of a sticky subject. But like, I just think they have made it so divided to the point where nobody feels welcome and nobody knows what to do. And but so like as a whole, health at every size is not a bad idea, because I think you can be healthy and make healthy choices at every size. But when you do that, if you're an overweight person, you're going to start losing weight. That's just what happens. But I think the fact that the fat acceptance movement has like overtaken the health at every size movement is just what makes it very bad and very toxic for the mind. So.
And then on the other hand, we have fitness influencers, which is a whole nother topic. Do you think that this community pushes the narrative that you have to look a certain way to be healthy?
Absolutely. And I'm not saying like you in particular, because obviously not, but like I think a lot of the more notable figures in it do. And I think the ones that don't are seen as like controversial or like woke or something, when really they just have a healthier view of health.
Yeah.
And I think for me, a lot of the bigger fitness influencer people made the idea of weight loss very intimidating and very confusing. That was the big thing. Very, very confusing and very intimidating. And they like preach a lot of like very, to me, unrealistic like meal plans and meal prepping and stuff with like very expensive ingredients. And I think a big thing that I hear a lot is, oh, I don't have the money to get healthy, or I don't have the money to eat healthy. And it's because people think that they have to eat like non-GMO, organic, like grass-fed, whatever, when like, yes, that's nice for your body, but like to lose weight, it's not necessary. And oh, my cat's in the background. Yeah, it's just, it's not necessary to lose weight. And for me, the way I did it, I got the majority of the weight off. However I decided to do that is irrelevant, but I got the majority of the weight off. And now I'm focusing on eating like holistically and a more balanced diet, because for me, getting the weight off was more of a pressing issue. And so now I'm focusing more on nutrients and like what my food is made out of. But can I afford to eat like a fitness influencer? No, I can't. So it's like, right. I eat Kroger chicken, and I have no shame. Like Kroger chicken is fine. And like, I eat microwave food a lot because I'm a busy person. I don't have time to like cook stuff. And especially now with this, like this is a thing that I have to, not that I have to, I want to do it, but like now it's like there's so many other things. And I think both sides of the coin make everything just very confusing for the average person. Like the extreme fitness people and the extreme body positivity, health at every size, fat acceptance people make the average person very confused. And I've only realized that now that I am an average person, quote unquote. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't even like to consider myself a fitness influencer because of that community. And so I don't really know. I cringe when someone calls me that, and I'm like, I try not to be like your typical fitness influencer. My parents love to shop at Whole Foods. So it's always like organic, grass-fed beef, wild caught fish, like the best things. Because I mean, they can afford it, but then coming to college, I knew like I would like to eat that way, but I knew it wasn't feasible for my budget. So I stopped putting that pressure on myself to try and eat that way. I still eat healthfully, but I'm not going to go to Whole Foods and get the most pristine thing that I can find.
Yeah, I like to dabble in Whole Foods. Like, it's fun. Like, there's so many cool things there. I think their produce is superior. That's just a personal opinion. But I also don't think it's necessary to shop there. So I just go to Kroger and get everything. And I spend like half of what I would spend at Whole Foods on all my groceries.
I just wish people knew that they didn't have to spend all this money to reach their goals, that there is a simple way and there is a cheap route. Like, that's why my services, primarily, my services are fairly cheap for what they're worth. Just because I'm a college student, I get it. It's tough, especially in a freaking global pandemic. A lot of people don't have jobs, so I didn't want to make it unattainable. I wanted to lower the barrier to entry as much as possible for people to be able to get the services that they need. So
that's awesome. That's so cool. And for me, the reason I started doing YouTube was I wanted to be like kind of a virtual big sister or like a virtual friend. Like, that's what I wanted to like talk about, just like stuff, because I've been through my fair amount of stuff, even though I'm 24. and so like, and I know people were like going through it right now, right? Like, I was going through it, but I'm privileged enough to have health insurance where I can go to a professional to get help. And I'm not saying like I'm like any kind of psychological help, but I think just having someone to relate to for free or whatever is just huge. And
that can help so much.
Yeah. And so that's great that like you made your prices like reasonable, because I think some fitness people's programs are ridiculous for what you actually get. Like, I have heard stories. Like, it's just not. People will charge like crazy amounts for just like a base level plan that's not even customized to the person at all, and it's gross.
That's why I don't have anything on my website that isn't tailored to the person, because health is not one size fits all. Everybody has very specific needs for them. So I don't have like a $10 ab workout or booty workout program that is supposed to be generalized, because it doesn't work that way.
No,
it really doesn't.
It does not.
So what advice would you give to someone who is about to start their weight loss journey?
Keep it simple. Focus on one thing at a time. Focus on one change at a time and go from there. Because my biggest mistakes that I made when I went on my numerous different weight loss journeys was that I just overcomplicated it, and I went into it just like guns blazing. Like, I didn't realize the effect that just small sustainable changes would actually make. And so before I had surgery, I lost 40 pounds. And a big part of that was having an accountability person, which was my doctor. So I'd also recommend that. Accountability is huge. And then I joined Weight Watchers because having one number for me was just easier to grasp at the time. And instead of worrying about macros and all that stuff, because I didn't fully understand that stuff. And that's why I was going to that program, was to start understanding that stuff. And I joined Weight Watchers, but even still, I only made the changes of like initially cutting out high calorie drinks, which I didn't drink a lot of pop to begin with, but it was more like really high calorie, like iced tea, like sweetened tea, or like coffees, like from Starbucks and stuff. That's how I got a lot of my liquid calories. But I also like Sprite. I would drink Sprite like a fiend. But yeah, I cut out like all high calorie drinks. and junk food and fast food. And the change that made just from doing that was huge. And that's not to say I never ate it. Like, I still did, but I just didn't eat it as often.
Yeah.
And it would be like a once a month or once every other month thing for me. Or like I'm on campus and I have no other option kind of thing for me. But I just think keeping it simple and going into it with a realistic mindset is everything. And in knowing that progress is not linear, and you're gonna have hiccups, and you're gonna gain weight, and you're gonna have influx, like you're just gonna have fluctuations. Like, that's just gonna happen. And yeah, accepting that progress wasn't linear was a huge thing for me, because I would go weeks without losing weight, and I would just stay at the same weight even though I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And then I would step on the scale, because I would weigh myself every Sunday when I was actively losing weight. And then I'd step on the scale one Sunday and I lost like 4 pounds. So just like keep it simple, trust the process, and know that progress isn't linear. That's like, yeah.
That's perfect.
That's all I got.
Well said.
Also, sorry, I look like this. You look so nice, and I'm like in this sweatshirt.
Oh my gosh. I was in my pajamas with no makeup and my hair in a messy bun until about 15 minutes before.
Okay. Yeah. See, I logged off of work and I immediately came here, and I'm like, this is what she's getting.
Don't even apologize.
This is what I look like in half my videos anyways, so it's like, okay.
Oh my gosh. I was totally scrubbing it the whole day.
Yeah.
I don't do anything besides school and work from home. Yeah. So I'm just
I went to Target over my lunch break today, and that's about all I did. And I'm about to go to a craft store and then come home and do nothing for the rest of it. Well, I'm gonna crochet, but yeah, I'm gonna do nothing for the rest of the night. So I understand.
More questions. It's almost been a full hour.
I don't care. I talk a lot, so it's fine.
So do I. So I knew was like, there's no way we're gonna keep this to 30 minutes. It's not gonna happen.
Okay. It's okay.
So what do you think about TikTok in terms of the health and fitness content you see on there?
I avoid it at all costs.
Because you have one.
Health, I know. I don't post health and fitness stuff on my TikTok. I post like my dumb, like mean brain stuff on TikTok. That's what TikTok exists for me. like my algorithm, TikTok's algorithm is like scarily accurate, and like I get some like health recipes and stuff, which is nice. I've made a few of them and they've been very good, but I honestly see zero health and fitness on TikTok. I see zero fitness on TikTok. I see like nutrition on TikTok, but I don't see fitness on TikTok. So because it's not in my algorithm, I guess. I don't know.
Good. That is a good thing. It's
because
so bad.
I have seen things and I knew I had to avoid it at all costs, because I became a TikTok person in quarantine. And in quarantine, when quarantine started, that was like when I was very obsessive over my food and like not moving enough and everything. I was very like down on myself about that. So I'm like, I need to avoid this at all possible costs. And I still think some of the nutrition stuff that I see on there is very daunting, because some of the things that people make on that app that are like healthy, which they are, but they have like 5 million ingredients in them. And I'm like, nobody has the time to do this. Like maybe in quarantine, yeah, but maybe then nobody has the money. So I honestly don't have that much experience with it on TikTok. And I'm kind of thankful for it. Yeah, I avoid it at all possible costs.
It worries me so much with a lot of young impressionable girls with body image problems going on there, scrolling through, and of course they'll watch the things that bother them, I feel like. So more of it will pop up.
It's so similar to like Tumblr when I was like that age, like 10 years ago. I'm 24, like I'm not an old lady, but like when I was like 14, right, I was on Tumblr, and Tumblr was like the Bible. And there was so much just ED promotion on Tumblr. It was disgusting. And I recognized it as being bad but then again, I also had a very flawed relationship with food. So I was coming at it from like another angle. I was like, oh, I would never be able to starve myself. I like food too much, like that kind of a thing. So it was like a very like unhealthy mindset in hindsight that I was coming at that from as well. But like, there was so much ED promotion on Tumblr and so much like glamorizing of like depression and everything. Like Tumblr was mainly photos and GIFs. That was basically it. And maybe some videos sprinkled in there. It was like a blog website. But TikTok is the same thing, except you get to hear the actual people speaking. And so I feel like it has a different effect on it. And I feel like it's worse.
Yeah.
But then again, Tumblr was also bad in its own right. But TikTok, I feel like, is the modern day Tumblr, honestly. And both are not great for those kinds of things. They promoted and do promote like the extremes of things very much.
Yeah.
And it's scary because you're very, very impressionable at that age.
Right.
Yeah.
I literally could not imagine me in high school having TikTok. My body,
yeah.
My self-esteem in high school was an all-time low. And there were just girls in my high school that I was like, how do they look like that and they're my age? Why is puberty not hitting me? I've always been a late bloomer. So seeing that,
I was an early-ish bloomer. Yeah, I was an early-ish bloomer. So I had that issue.
My sister is an early bloomer, and I'm just like, because she's 12 now, so I'm literally watching her become a woman right before my eyes, and I'm like, I don't like this. This was not how my childhood was by any means.
Yeah.
So I just can't imagine.
But I'm so happy social media did not fully exist when I was like 12 or 13, because that would have been horrendous. Like, I got Instagram my sophomore year of high school, and that was when it was new. So that was when like not many people. I distinctly remember telling one of my student teachers in high school about Instagram. Like, that's how new it was. And so I like all that stuff was new. Like, people were still dabbling between MySpace and Facebook. Like, nobody really knew which one they were going to be using. And so like Tumblr kind of came into the picture when I was like 15 and 16. And 16 is when my depression onset. And so it just fueled it really, really bad. And I'm going to be honest about that. Like, social media, Tumblr in specific, did not help my mental health at all.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine 16-year-old Megan with the stuff she was looking at, like the sad stuff that she was looking at to like feed her feelings, basically, having TikTok. That would have been terrible, because it's like what Tumblr was, but moving and with voices.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that if I wasn't a creator on TikTok, I wouldn't have the app. Even now, even 20 years old, and really like understanding myself and being comfortable in my own skin and all of that, I wouldn't be on it. It just, even now, still like I'll see a girl on there, and it's still like, it makes me regress back to my mindset of being in high school.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. And for me in high school too, I was never a very insecure person. My weight did not bother me in high school at all.
Yeah,
like, that just didn't bother me. And I'm very grateful for that. And I think the reason it was that way was because I was never bullied for it. The people I went to high school or school with in general were just very kind people, and I'm very lucky to have that. But I think it's also like the Midwestern, like small town kind of feeling and like mood, is that everybody's just nice to each other for the most part. But yeah, I was never bullied for it. I know things were said about me behind my back, because like I was homecoming queen in high school. And in hindsight, I was popular in high school. I just did not know I was popular in high school.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was a band kid and a theater kid in high school.
I was
and
a band
art kid. Yeah, I played trombone. I was I did technical theater, so I was a stage manager. I was the crazy stage manager, and I was an art kid. Like I was not in sports. I was not on the dance team. I was not a cheerleader. I was none of that. I was just friends with a lot of people. and and so I knew some mean things were said to me said about me behind my back when I was like homecoming queen and stuff, but that's just high school nonsense. And so I still had I don't, for the most part, I was a very confident kid, but I would still, like, the comparison game definitely still happened. And like you said, I can't imagine seeing these like smoke shows on TikTok when I was 16 and like comparing myself to them, knowing that that's not even real. They don't even look like that. Yeah. My favorite quote is like, the girl in the magazine doesn't even look like the girl in the magazine.
It's true.
Because it's so painfully true. Yeah.
And I feel like what you're saying, how you had things said to you behind your back, and I'm sure I have had that happen too at some point, but it's a different thing when you don't know what's being said versus it being said right to your face. And that's just the horrible part of social media. On Instagram, Instagram was just for friends, but now that like being on a platform and talking about such sensitive topics, like health and nutrition is such a controversial, sensitive topic, and everybody has their opinion. The amount of hate comments just over the time I've been on there, like seeing, okay, maybe somebody had said this about me behind my back years ago, but now it's being thrown in front of me. Like that affects your mental health so drastically. Sure. I had never really had huge issues with my mental health until I started creating on TikTok. That's when really it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I would have like panic attacks from that. Yeah. I never dealt with depression. I dealt very much so with anxiety, but never from like outside things. It was always just like my schedule being too busy and me just freaking out all the time, which I still do. But
me too.
It's like it's so much worse when it's
that's so sad. Like I'm just so used to feeling those things that I don't, and I mean it's like I'm not depressed, like I'm fine. It's just like I'm just so used to having experienced that I think that's why whenever I get like a negative comment or like, and I consider them just more ignorant comments than hate comments because they're just ignorant people, that I just kind of brush it off. Like I laugh about it and I'm like, okay, they're going through their own stuff. Like, okay.
And that's something I've tried to figure out with myself, because there's always those comments where I'm like, they don't know what they're talking about, so it's fine. But when it's like a personal attack or like just something that really hits home, because I made my first ever like video that quote unquote blew up on YouTube about Chloe Ting, because
spicy.
Like I'm sure you're familiar. So many followers of mine on TikTok were asking me my opinions on her. So I decided, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll make a video reviewing her abs in 2 weeks so that people can understand my stance on her. I didn't make it just out of malice or jealousy or anything like that. It was literally
curiosity.
I was curious, and my fans were curious to know what I thought. So I did that, and I guess it got to like the wrong crowd, because that's when I really started to see the hate comments roll in, and I never really got comments on YouTube anyway, because this was like my first big video. So I was always curious to see what people thought, and just seeing, sometimes I accidentally click on that section in like my back office for YouTube, and it's so hard. I'm like,
I don't go in there. I'm like, it's in there for a reason. I'm never looking at it.
It's better. Then it's like, okay, they may be talking behind my back. Maybe it's posted online, but I'm not seeing it, so it doesn't affect me.
Sometimes if I just want to have a laugh at like the stupidity of humanity, then I'll go look at it. But like, I for the most part, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. I've only reacted to like one dumb, like negative comment. The rest of them I don't even interact with. And it's because I have a chronic illness, and I have a chronic invisible illness, and I made a video about that. And I have chronic fatigue syndrome. It sounds like a crock of BS. It is not. I've had it since I was 16. 16 was a rough year for Megan, but I talked very openly about how I was questioned and like openly shamed about it because I didn't get officially diagnosed with it until I was like or until it took a year. It took a year to get officially diagnosed with it. And so I missed a lot of school, like a lot of school. And because I was going through tests and doctor's appointments and all this stuff. And I was like openly criticized and shamed about it by my teachers in school.
Wow.
And I talked very openly about it in that video. And I tell one specific story because even though it was like almost 10 years ago, which is crazy, even though it was almost 10 years ago, it was a very, I don't want to say traumatic because I feel like that sounds dramatic, but it was honestly a little traumatizing because I'm still so insecure about people not believing me when I tell them that I have this thing when it affects me like all the time. And this person essentially was like agreeing with this teacher from this particular story long story short, he shamed me like in front of my entire class. And it was a teacher that I was very close with. And he just laid in and it was not good. And she was basically agreeing with him and saying she didn't see like the issue. And I kind of like went off. I was like, okay, I'm okay with dumb comments. I was expecting dumb comments, but that one was like, okay, something has to be said. Because it was kind of like the point of the video. Like she just did not understand the whole like point of it. And yeah, so sometimes you just have to react, but I just don't. Yeah, it's rough. I'm like I said, I'm very happy social media did not fully exist when I was like a developing teenager.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that some comments will just hit home and like
Yeah.
really mess with your head. Not all of them, but sometimes there's going to be a couple that just come along and you feel like you have to defend yourself and have to say something to these people to try and make them understand, but ultimately they're not going to.
I've had two. That one, and then another one was a guy commenting on my fat acceptance video saying that I was weak-minded and was a follower because I put so much like emphasis on what people were saying on social media. And and I didn't respond to that one. I was in like Starbucks and I just saw it and I was just laughing. Like I just laughed about it and moved on because I'm like, that's just ridiculous. Like that is like, if I was weak-minded, I wouldn't have lost 115 pounds. Like that's a very like, you have to be very strong-willed to do something like that. And anybody has that capability. Anybody has the capability, but to make that decision and stick with it for like a year, you have to be pretty strong-willed to do that. Yeah. So like clearly you don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, people don't get it.
No.
Yeah. So I have one final question.
Yes.
On the topic of mental health, because I feel like mental health and physical health they have to.
I love talking about mental health. I have lost 2 friends to mental health issues, and ever since that happened, I have not shut up about it. So I'm an open book. Ask me anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are the steps you've taken to improve your mental health over the years?
Yeah. So when my depression onset, I was 16, and it kind of always ran in my family, and so I always say I was like doomed from the start. Like I knew it was something that I was gonna have to deal with. For me, my first step was therapy, and then when she basically blamed all my mental health issues on my weight.
Oh my.
Yeah, she's like, you just need to walk more. I remember that. She's like, oh, you just need to exercise more. And I was a very involved kid. Like I was in theater and stuff. And I'm like, I'm at rehearsal like all the time. I literally like, I was a person that said I didn't have time to exercise when I literally did not have time to exercise. Like, even now, I look back and I'm like, Megan, you did not have time to exercise. So I I went to my doctor and I consulted her about medication because I knew just with like increasing physical activity and stuff, that was not a realistic goal for me at the time, and I did not want to start feeling as miserable as I was. I didn't want to keep feeling as miserable as I was. And so I started therapy and then I got on medication. But now, in terms of just now that that's been a thing that I've done for almost 10 years as well, that's just like second nature at this point, especially the medication. I have realized how much focusing on yourself is actually a very important thing to do. And that is the number one thing that has changed about my mental health is I am still very much a people pleaser. I'm an only child, so I am learning in therapy that we are people pleasers by nature, which makes sense. But I think weight loss is it's a very good thing. It's a very selfish thing to do because it kind of has to become a full-time job. And learning to say, I can't do this, I have to go to the gym was a very weird thing for me to learn how to say. And it's now to that point where it's like, I can't do this. I need to take some time for myself, just even if it's not going to the gym. And yeah, for me, the biggest step I've taken is learning that you can't make everybody happy and your feelings come first to a certain extent. And because all you have is you all the time. And you have to do what's best for your mental health, really, truly. And just to not have any shame in that at all, because that's all you have is your brain.
So true. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I need to take that advice for sure.
Oh, me too.
I literally have to schedule out me time at the end of the day to make sure because I'm like that type A, has to be doing something productive all the time or else I am a nothing person and I just I'm a bum, which is so off-putting and so dumb. Like, I should not think like that, but it's been instilled in me. Like, because both of my parents are entrepreneurs. So it was I'm literally the hybrid of both of them combined and their ambition, and I just have to do a million things. And I keep doing it, but I'm getting better about taking me time and trying to find time to relax. But the problem with me is if I'm relaxing, in my head, I'm still thinking about the things that I have to do tomorrow or next.
And I have only stopped being like that within the last 6 months. I think because what kind of triggered me to stop thinking like that was I had a stress-induced seizure. And so it was in March of this year, and I was working 2 jobs, 60 hours a week, and I just remember that was the most burnt out I had felt in a very, very long time. And my boyfriend and I, we went up to Boulder, Colorado, because we both live in Denver, and Boulder's a really cute town. And when we got there, the next thing I know, I was on the ground with paramedics in my face saying I'd had a seizure. And it was a grand mal seizure, so shaking and the whole bit. And I, after that, and when quarantine hit, for me, even though it was because of a very awful, awful thing, for me, that was the universe's way of telling me to calm down and telling me to slow down, especially after the seizure, because I took a week off of work after that because it knocked me out. That with my chronic illness was just a terrible combination. Because your body literally resets itself. That's what happens. It seizes and it resets. That's kind of what happens. And my poor boyfriend,
oh my gosh,
we had only been dating for a month, a month or two. And he's just this genuine little sunflower boy, and I love him to pieces. And he handled it with such grace and he didn't leave my apartment for like a month after. Well, because then we were quarantined together because we spent that 2 weeks together of like when I had my seizure, and then when I went back to work, he was here, so we had to quarantine together. So we didn't leave. We were not within like 3 feet of each other, or we were not like away from each other for like 3 months. But yeah, and so after that, I quit my second job over quarantine. I was still getting paid from it, even though I wasn't working, but I was like, I just don't want this responsibility anymore. And that, because I was kind of getting to the point of having to start taking care of myself over worrying about finances and productivity and like all this stuff. But then when my seizure happened, it was like, okay, Megan, time to reevaluate your priorities, because that could have been very bad. And I had never had a seizure before. And they told me it was a perfect combination of increased stress levels, and I just hadn't eaten anything that day. That was it.
That's triggered.
And yeah, and I had like a muffin, but my blood sugar was still really low, and so I was feeling really shaky. And we were actually going to go eat. We were going to go get some coffee and go eat. But we stopped in a store before, and I just dropped down, like I seized. So yeah, that is like the biggest piece of like self-care mental health advice I have, is just take the time necessary for yourself and kind of honestly just like fuck everybody for a little while, because like you are all that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you have a good life, you are what matters. Like that's, yeah.
There was this post that I saw not too long ago that said, if you don't schedule time for maintenance, your body will by shutting down. And I've experienced that so many times, but not to that extent.
That's exactly what happened to me, because my life moved so quickly. So I graduated last May, not like May of 2020, May of 2019, I graduated. And then I got a job 2 weeks later. And so, but even within that time, the first week after graduation, I was in Chicago for a job interview. The second week I was in Denver for a job interview, got offered that job before I even left Denver. So then I had I had 3 weeks to turn around and move to Denver. I had never lived away from home before, let alone on my own. And so I had that. I was thrown into adulting very quickly, and was struggling with finances because I hadn't had a year of bills under my belt yet, and I didn't know what was coming. And so I got a second job, was working 60 hours a week. The second job was in retail on top of that. So it was like, and my graphic design job is very, very customer service heavy, very. So it was like going from one retail job to another. And I just was not taking care of myself. And I know I was not taking care of myself. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't sleeping properly, none of that. And my body just decided to schedule some maintenance in the form of a seizure. So
I can't believe that. That is,
yeah. So that's my word of warning to everybody. Take time for yourself, because if you don't, your body will decide you need to, and that is what happens. And
but sometimes we
have the insurance to pay for the medical bills.
Well, yes, yeah.
And I survived, so like that's also cool.
That is definitely a good thing, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But like sometimes wake up calls are necessary to just be like, well, shit.
Yeah. Gotta do something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is why my success on YouTube makes me very emotional, because I was feeling like I can fund myself enough to buy the necessities, like living, food, all that stuff, which in itself is a privilege, but I didn't have a lot of fun money. And so I was like, maybe I should get a second job again. But like, do I want to do that? Because I had a seizure the last time I did that. And I never expected my YouTube channel to grow into what it has so quickly. And now that I have now that I'm monetized, like as tacky as it sounds, like it makes such a difference. Like and I'm so grateful for it because I was terrified to start working a second job again. Because I wanted fun money, but like, was I gonna have time to use it? That was the other thing. Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
2 jobs, and so now I have this YouTube channel, and like, I'm starting a Patreon because people have asked, so I'm doing that. And it's just, I can't express my gratitude like enough to the people that are in my community now, because it's just helped me like leaps and bounds. It's helped my mental health a lot because I now no longer have to stress about that and have to be worried about burning myself out again, because I never want to go through that again.
Right. This is
Yeah.
only the beginning for you. I can totally tell just like by the way you carry yourself on camera. You're just such like a friendly person. Like I just want to talk to you for hours. And I mean,
and it's so weird to me. Like, it's just so weird to me. And I don't think it will ever not be weird to me. Like, I have people who message me on Instagram, which like, I have like 2,500 followers on Instagram. Like, it's a lot, but it's not like a ton. So I see all my messages, and I reply to them, and they freak out. And I'm like, I'm just me. Like, I have a very not glamorous life. Like, I live in a 500 square foot apartment, and like like, I have to say no to doing things because I can't afford it. Like, I'm very much a normal person, and so it's so weird to me that people are like, "Oh my God, you responded!" I'm like, "Wow, yes, I did." Like, okay.
And this is where my mic stops working.
Oh no, you're cutting out. Oh no, I can't hear you. Okay, because you can hear me, right? I just can't hear you. Okay, got it. Okay, so yeah, if you want to see me or talk to me, because I do respond, my Instagram is at Hey Look It's Megan. My Twitter is the same thing. I have an Etsy store called Maid Station, and my YouTube channel is called Megan Ann, and that's all I got.
That's it. Thanks so much for watching and putting up with the technical difficulties with us. All of Megan's socials are in the description, so make sure to follow and subscribe to her channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Have an amazing day or night, and I'll see you later.